Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out the last episode. If you're one of those people, thanks so much for coming back. For everyone out there who's new to the show, welcome. Feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer and soda and some of Giant Eagle's finest in the fridge. Cheers, gentlemen. Let's cheers a little purified gold.
What kind of beers are in the fridge?
Cheers.
I would be lying to you if I told you that I didn't drink all of them yesterday. Anyways, I'm sitting here today with the Pittsburgh Circus Arts
Collaborative.
Close. Let's do that again, but I'm not going to edit it. I'm sitting here today with the Pittsburgh Circus Arts Collaborative. Make some noise for the internet.
Don't worry, I get it wrong all the time too.
Oh, I like that. That's the most applause we've gotten in a long time.
I don't know. Is this working?
I'm sitting here today with you two people. How y'all doing? Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having us.
Joseph?
Joseph Kerr.
0.
There we go. Simple. We are each the artistic director.
I'm the artistic director.
I'm the artistic director.
You're the artistic director.
You are as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Of the Pittsburgh Circus Arts Collaborative. Myself, Joseph Kerr, I'm the pyromancer, fire eater, fire breather, extraordinaire.
He's extraordinary, man. I'm telling you. My name's 0. I juggle fireballs and glass balls and other kinds of balls. I'm working on a modern day strongman routine, if you can't tell by the mustache.
Killer.
I do a lot of dancing with juggling. I'm going to be playing Uncle Drosselmeyer again in a production of The Nutcracker, only this time it's with the Westmoreland Ballet. So I do juggling dance things. Look, this is us.
That's super exciting. So, when did all of this stuff get started? Like, how does somebody decide that they want to get into playing with fire on a professional level? And how does somebody get into, wanting to juggle and do all of these things? These aren't normal activities that normal people do.
Correct.
Where'd it come from?
Well, I know that his journey goes back a lot farther than mine does.
Because I'm a lot older.
Well, a little bit older. 38.
When you're 22.
I'm 26. I'm 19. I'm 26. But no, I started off as a magician. I was 15. I got into cards. I did magic pretty unsuccessfully for about 4 years. And then I switched over to fire. Since then,
What a sentence.
Yeah, I guess so. lots of commas.
Yeah.
But yeah, since then I've done pretty well. I'd probably say I'm top 10, top 15 fire eater in the world right now.
Wow.
Probably top 10, top 15 fire breather as well. I hold a world record. I've got
for what?
I hold the world record in the vapor spin. So the torches that I use, the handles to the torches are hollow. So that enables me to suck on the end of the torch and pull vapor from the fuel that's on the wick of the torch, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So I pull the vapor into my mouth.
It's a really aggressive straw.
It'll be coming up.
Yeah, it'll be coming up.
Cool.
Hold it in my mouth, and then if you ignite it and you let it out at a steady consistency, like a steady flow of vapor, you get like a little candle flame coming out of your mouth. You sustain that and then spin in a circle while sustaining it. The previous world record was 4 spins. I got 8.5. So
wow.
Yeah. No one's it's been a year. No one's come close.
Wow.
So
my brain is going all over the place, and I imagine both of you can give me a good answer for this question. How important is physical health and exercise to your craft?
That is important. I know. Like, honestly, for me, it's what I do, the movements that I do, the type of body work that I do when I'm juggling, and the type of energy required to be an entertainer. There it is right there. Did you see that thing on his? It's like 1 second back.
Of course, I took it off, but hey, we know we'll get back to it.
But like, so to be an entertainer that's almost solely focused on keeping up with like children and like having them entertained.
Oh, geez.
The amount of energy that I need to like match a child's energy is just a ton. I work out every day. I did George St. Pierre's workout program at home, and now I'm on week 3 of the UFC Fit workout program. So like I get really into it. I lift a lot of weights. There's a lot of juggling moves that I do with weights in my arms. I do medicine balls for contact juggling,
which I think is ingenious because he's, like adapting his workout to fit his needs, essentially. So, juggle like this, he juggles weights that way. It's just,
so I don't toss the weights. I hold barbells and hold and do different types of moves with them and juggling. And there's these sort of dip out dance moves that I do with a contact juggling ball, and I use a 4-pound medicine ball when I'm doing that. It's, I don't know. I also, my endurance, man, I can get slowed down pretty quick, so like I need to keep myself on a good steady exercise pace. And
what was your exercise routine like prior to getting into this world? Were you somebody that thought more about it prior, or as you started getting more and more into this, you realize, oh, this is something I'm going to have to focus more on? So that's something that happened with me. Playing in bands, being a front person in bands, running around on stage, I never thought in a million years I'd have to think about exercise.
Yeah.
But,
you want to keep that.
You run around on stage for 10 minutes and then you're just toast.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah.
And it's really bad. And I don't know if everybody feels the way that I feel, but it gets really bad for me really easily. I can get fatigued. I'm just starting tired. So like if I don't exercise constantly, like I don't want to fucking be on stage. It's just too much.
Absolutely.
So yeah, the stuff that we do, and like, especially like we work with acrobats too. Like there's these moves that he's got with these 2 contortionists, Camille and Mallory, where he's like holding one of the women on his left arm and one on his right arm while they're like putting torches up to his mouth so he could breathe fire. Right. There's this guy, Vahid, he's an acrobat I work with. And there's these moves where I do where like my one foot is on his knee, my other foot is around the back of his neck, and I'm juggling at a 45-degree angle. Or the moves that we have together where like
Spitfire Cascade,
like he gets on his knees, I get behind him and I juggle fireballs in front of his face while he's spitting gasoline through them, and so there's these really intense moves where you can't be like, okay, I guess I'm gonna go. And like, I have the endurance, the energy, and that's why I do all the exercising. And also the stage presence, like, you gotta keep yourself looking good.
Absolutely.
Being on
stage.
Absolutely.
Everything in the world of what you're doing. And it's so cool to think about, how much of your life this takes up. Yeah. Like even just like, I have to think about exercising. Maybe I think about like what I'm eating, because that ties to the exercise. And every little decision that you make in your life affects your work.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said that. Your appearance matters, because I made a post a few months ago basically just saying, your appearance matters. It's a visual art form. You should look as good as your craft, and people were fucking pissed. I can swear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. People were fucking pissed, man. They're like, how dare, like they said that I was, misogynistic, body shaming, whatever. I'm just like, you should look, you should look presentable.
Yeah, I mean,
you need to look presentable.
The other thing too, I think it's easy to misunderstand a statement like that. Like you can have any body type but still look good for your craft. Mm-hmm. Like if you are an entertainer doing like fire breathing and things like that, there's a certain image that you should uphold. Otherwise it looks strange. It's the same thing for like a stupid heavy metal band. Like nobody wants to see my heavy metal band and like one guy has like a fish shirt and camo cargo shorts on or something, like nobody wants that. People want to see a metal band. People want to see a fire breather. There's like these stereotypical images that people have in their head that make up what we are. But I love to lean into a gimmick, especially for entertaining. It's like, I miss that about art. That's like, I love a lot of the music that came out of the early 90s, but I really hate that whole aesthetic of like, it doesn't matter. Like it matters.
Sure.
But like that, it carried on for a long time, and you kind of lost a lot of that spectacle of rock and roll over
100%.
time. It's starting to come back a little bit. Well, it was. I don't know what's happening now, but we don't got to get into that.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
I think that's Ghost BC,
Sure,
whatever.
yeah.
They do a fantastic job.
Yeah. The bands exist. You know, it'd be cool if Ghost was as big as Kiss, but they're big enough.
Big enough.
They're big enough.
I say so.
What do you want? Yeah, it's so easy to sound like the old curmudgeon, like, oh,
Sure,
my day, blah, blah, blah. But the thing I try to remember is like what is important to whatever the hell kids are listening to now. Like if they're listening to 21 Pilots or whatever, they're probably listening to that with the same sort of intensity that I was listening to Faith No More.
Right.
They're two totally different bands,
Sure.
but if they're getting the same passion out of it, go for it. I don't give a shit what you're listening to as long as you're positive and enjoying life.
As long as it's not country.
Country's all right too. I don't mind
Country
it.
music isn't real. I mean, look, I understand. Honestly, in my head, like I think that like Garth Brooks was like pretty much like the last legitimate country singer to like make a name for himself. Like even if you like turn on country music television, any point, right? You see like, oh, here's the artist, here's the band, written by like they're just actors. There's not a single one of them. It's a gimmick. It's garbage and has no emotions. It's inhuman, man. You know, I don't like when people were like, you know, just here, let's put a pretty face in front of this art and, you know, and sell things with it. It's like commodify it. Fine. I'm not going to listen to it. I'm not going to buy it. It's garbage.
I do think of it a lot like movies, you know, like, I really like the first couple Lana Del Rey albums, but I feel like she's an actress playing a role. Like it's a character. It's not her real name.
Right.
There's people that are helping her put these songs together, and that's fine. Like I don't mind.
Sure.
There's even like a cinematic feel to her music.
Absolutely. But like also patriotism is garbage, right? So like here's this genre that entirely encompasses a patriotic intent while gimmicking music as like putting actors in front because they look like Faith Hill or Chris McGraw, and it's just like it's hokey. It's just not real music.
I don't even know who those people are.
It's just more commodity, man. They're whatever. They're Tang and Pepsi, man. They're the things that look good on the market and everyone wants to buy them. It's not real.
Yeah, I mean, you get that in any genre, and I'm sure you come across things like that in your world too, of other people that are in the magic and the magic adjacent. What would you consider? Sorry
for going off.
Trust me. What the fuck is the point of having a podcast if you don't go off on something that means nothing to do with anything?
Right.
Yeah. Trust me.
Yeah.
But
the fucking fushigi.
Oh God.
Do you know what the fushigi is?
I do not. Enlighten me.
Oh, fuck, man. Like, that's the country music. Yeah, look it up on YouTube if you want, man. Like, so back in the 90s, man, this guy, and I don't remember his name, and I'm glad I don't remember his name because I would just be, oh, man. The fushigi gets me. It gets me fired up back in the 90s. You know, like, after you get Michael Motion's, like, PBS special on, you know, Michael Motion in Motion. So Michael Motion was the arms behind David Bowie in Labyrinth. Right? With that crystal ball. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So you get that, and then the 90s come along, and like people were like, oh, this is a cool thing. Contact juggling. Right? So then this company, they make a ball, and it's cheap as hell. Right? They call it the fushigi. And they never call it contact juggling. They never talk about anything. They say it's the magic anti-gravity ball.
Yeah.
The magic anti-gravity fushigi ball. And they put it on TV, and it made it look like this thing. What I'm doing right there with that ball. They made these commercials that said like the magic anti-gravity ball that makes it look amazing and wow your friends. And then like all these kids bought it. A whole generation of kids bought it. And then it shows up at their house. And what do? They're like, it's not magic. It takes a ton of work to like make a glass ball appear as if it's floating, to make it roll around your bodies, to make it look like what David Bowie did in the Labyrinth, right? So then half the kids who bought it, they just threw it away. The other half,
I'd say more than that.
Right. And the other half, more than half just threw it away. You sometimes find them in Goodwills or thrift stores. And the other half, right? They grew up into people that like now when I'm working, you have people pass by. They're like, oh, is that the fushigi ball thing? Yeah, it's weighted. Yeah, it's bad.
That probably
so
and I'm just
really
like grind your gears.
Yeah,
so
and like
pissed.
I do. I get really upset about it. And when like in the juggling culture, like we just say the F word. Fushigi, right? We don't even want to talk about it. If you go to the Wikipedia page on contact juggling, there is a section on the Fushigi controversy, right? Like, so yeah, that, like, let's commodify the skill you have dedicated decades to creating in some cathedral way in your life. You spent hours and hours and every day, and it's like, well, let's commodify it.
Sure.
Let's turn it into something we could sell for Christmas. And it's cheap, and they broke. Like, I've had one ball break on me in my entire life, and it was a Fushigi. I bought it a couple of years ago. I saw it at the thrift store. I was like, well, I never bought one. See how these things work. I have it still at home. It's in pieces. The only contact juggling ball that ever broke on me.
Weird. It's kind of similar to how I imagine a lot of photographers feel with Instagram.
Sure.
We've worked with a few of those. Yeah. Definitely.
I know. And it happens with music production too. And over the past decade, music production has really ramped up to a fact that like anybody can produce an album that sounds fantastic out of a closet. And that's great. I think anybody should be able to do that. In the same way how I feel like if some kid wants to pretend that they can juggle, they should be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I am definitely jaded enough to also feel angry about it too.
You should be able to do it. But whenever you, when you commodify something, you start taking money off of people with a gimmick, and you lie to them to get their money. So what they're doing. These commercials, they don't say contact juggling once. They don't mention Michael Motion, anything about it. They knew if they called it that, they would get in trouble. Crap. Stealing money.
What about Evolve?
What about them? Oh man. Well, I don't know. Is this editable?
Sure.
There
okay,
was.
well, let's just not say them by name. There was a group in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. That they didn't last very long here. They were from Florida.
Hold on 1 second.
Is that for Florida?
Whenever I see that and I'm editing, I'll make sure that I remember to edit.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But anyways, you said there was a group that was here.
There was a group that was here, came up from Florida. And this was after the Pittsburgh Circus Arts Collaborative had kind of started to take root and, started getting gigs. They hired really pretty people with no talent whatsoever, getting, fire gigs. They called it like fire performance, fire eaters. They just like had torches and danced with them. They didn't do any tricks or anything like that.
But they came in and they were calling it the thing that you do.
Right. Yeah. The people aren't eating fire. They're not manipulating vapor, but they were advertising them doing as such. They said they were fire performers. I more call them fire dancers. And they got gigs for a little bit. I think they took some of our gigs. But eventually I think that our strength of character our discipline and our talent was made known to our clients and the people of Pittsburgh, and they left. There was any more gigs that packed up.
We'll wait.
There's a parallel, I imagine, with the local music scene and probably local entertainment in general, where sometimes your client, the person that's hiring you, just doesn't give a fuck about you. They just want something there. They just want music in the corner. They just want somebody juggling fire. They don't give a fuck who it is, what it is. So if somebody could come in a little bit lower, somebody sweet talks them, they can get the gig. It's really hard to like educate people that are hiring you on like what you actually do, building a relationship with them so they have an understanding of like, oh, I'm hiring them for this, not just because I want something off in the corner that I don't care about. I see it all the time when I go out to eat, and I used to. Whenever you would fucking see like, these random like schmucks with a guitar in the corner, like, tuning out loud, just doing bullshit covers, half singing. Like, it's just like, why?
It's bad.
I should have like some money off my bill for this.
Yeah.
That's a little rude. I mean,
I understand though.
But it's like, there's so many people that are in the city that I want to see sitting on that stage.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that suck at putting themselves out there, and that's why other people get those gigs.
Yeah.
So a lot of it too is like, you can sit here and you can kind of complain about like, oh, the city sucks and there's no opportunity. It's like you have to make those opportunities for yourself.
Yeah. And, and I think that's something that our group does. I think like the words Pittsburgh and arts and collaborative are more important than the word circus in our name, because like we have like 15 circus performers, but what we use outside of us is so much larger. The idea of like the client not caring whatever, right? Like one of our things, we're just like, no. We want you to care. Let's have coffee. And we sit down. Well, now we do it over FaceTime, but we go out, we have a drink with our clients. It's like, all right, you want us to do a wedding? All right, let's talk. And like, we would get the aesthetics. We would sit down with the wedding planner and the florist and the caterer and everybody. And we would have meeting after meeting after meeting, so that we were just like, these are the colors, these are the outfits, these are the directions. And even down to the smallest ones, like, the Pittsburgh Council for the Arts or whatever, they set up this thing in the airport, center console. It goes up those escalators, and you cross over. Big stage in the center there. And they always have musicians, always have musicians all the time, musicians. So I applied. I want put me there juggling, and they did. And they were very, very surprised. I drew a crowd nobody else had, so thanks to the pandemic, it's gone, no more of that gig. But yeah, the people having, they suck at putting themselves out there, and the opportunities, they're there. And I like what we have. We reach out to a lot of people, like like this. I love this, right? Because there's all these different acts that we work with, sideshows we work with, other circus schools that we work with. And then we're just like our photographer, right? This dude I spent my 90s with, so like all these kids in Pittsburgh that like have a skill, have a craft, they grew up. We try to get them and be like, all right, we can use you here. We can make you a barker at this wedding and like get you $500 for it, So we've made this great name for ourselves that we could just like, we can get people who do the art and say like, you're now a costume designer for the circus. You put that on your resume. Like you come over here, you're going to do this. We need you to do this. Or we have this wedding, so we're going to need 2 contortionists, 2 stilt walkers. Are you good for that? Okay. And like we assemble all these groups, and then like sometimes it's super hodgepodgey, but it works every time.
The networking is so cool and so fun. It's like the reason why I started doing the things that I do is because I wanted to be around like-minded people and make friends. So any opportunity that I have to do that is great. And just from doing the podcast alone, like sometimes I'll have like an artist in here and it's like, they're talking about, it's so hard to get work. And then the next week I might have somebody that owns a restaurant and they're like, yeah, my menu sucks and all this stuff. I'm like, well, I just had this graphic designer in here.
Right. Yeah.
Why don't you, it's like, 10 minutes away from each other.
Anybody that does any kind of physical art, like just, it's always there, I mean, like, especially with like our collaborative, process with Iron City Circus Arts, the circus school on the South Side, where it's all aerial, right? They do aerial and they do pole classes, and that's what they do. So then when they had their production of the Nutcracker, right? We all got together and sat down. It's like, okay, now Nutcracker has fire breathing in it. Now it has juggling in it. Now it has acrobatics in it. Now it has clowning in it. And now it has miming in it, right? And all these things are now in a part of it as well. So like, it's just, we're constantly just getting the collaborative, put them all together. I love it. Pittsburgh is so good for that. That's why like when people, they say like, there's no opportunities in Pittsburgh or go to New York or something. It's like, the fuck are you talking about, man? It's Pittsburgh. It's just like, build it, man.
It's small enough to be intimate.
There's so much that's going on. Like I had mentioned earlier, that weird backyard wrestling thing that I got invited to last minute. Like, it was 10 minutes from my house, and had somebody not told me, I would have had no idea that was happening. Yeah. But that's something really crazy that was 1000% happening. Yeah. And if you just like know it's all about who you surround yourself with. I'm really convinced that those people that have that attitude just have shitty friends.
I think that's a large cause of it for sure.
I also like shitty friends and like, sort of shitty growing up in America, this idea of like, I don't know if I want to go off on that tear. I don't. Fuck it. It's just me complaining about individualism.
It's easy.
Just forget it. Just shut me down.
I think that it's very easy to feel depressed right now. Yeah. I mean, it is, in general, but especially right now. it's hard to stay positive. It's hard to keep your mental health in check. I think that a lot of people struggle with that. And, obviously it affects if they have a passion. I hope that everyone has a passion, but those people that have a passion and they're actively trying to pursue it, I think it especially affects those people.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
Sure, man.
Yeah, I found that whenever all of this first really started happening in March, April, May, God, it's been so long.
Yeah.
There was so many
2 weeks.
So many. Yeah, it's been 14 days. There's been so many people that I know that have really been struggling with their productivity because they have all this extra time, but they're like putting this extra pressure on themselves that they feel like they need to create and do all this stuff.
Yeah,
and it's just like,
for sure.
Yeah, it's like we're all there. And like people keep asking me like, what am I doing with all my extra time? I'm just like, I'm sleeping more. I'm actually trying to do a little less.
Yeah.
Take better care of myself and not trying to put extra things on my plate just because I have extra time. Because like, just because I have time doesn't mean I have the hard drive space to actually handle all of that.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really easy for a lot of people to feel pressure to do things, especially if they spend all day online looking at what everybody else is doing. And everybody's only putting their most productive things out there all the time. So it's, taking a break is important, but I know it can be hard when nothing's going on.
Yeah. I think a lot of people fail to think about things holistically. They don't consider all the aspects in their life when they try to make a decision about being productive and whatnot. And yeah, like you said, on social media, someone may post a picture of them at the gym and then you see, oh, wow, they went to the gym, like they're doing so much, but that could be the only thing that they did that day.
Yeah. I mean, do either of you know anybody that is notorious for posting a lot on their phone or having like a really cool social media presence?
Yeah, sure.
Have you ever around those people?
Yeah, all the time.
And like their life does not look
those
to you.
Well, that's the
Is
thing.
it like what it is? Well,
those are two different types of people. Like, who do we hang out with? Like a bunch of highly skilled circus performers that constantly update social media.
You gotta post stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like, I do see that their life, like, and I'll tell you, they are just as depressed and just as imposter syndrome and just as I suck as everybody else. Like, if there's one thing you can guarantee about seeing any of us on stage performing the way that we do is we all think that we're shitty at it, and that, but
honestly, I'd rather be around people that think they're shitty at something than people that think they're good at something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like people that say like, how long did it take you to learn how to juggle? I'm like, I haven't learned it yet, man. You should see what these people out here can do with 5, 6, fucking 13 balls, man. I can do 4 sometimes. Rarely. I have not learned how to juggle yet. I don't know, 25% there, maybe
10% there.
If that,
You suck,
but like,
Zero.
What?
I said, you suck.
Right. Sometimes I feel that. So like, but we do actually have people that are like, but then I think that those people are just like, this is their amazing life. And I'm just posting what my life is. And I suck at this. And then there's the people who are like, look at my awesome life because I kick ass at these things. Right. Yeah. Those are two different people. They have the awesome life. These people don't. And they're very much like, yeah, look at me at the gym. And it's like, okay, I got the picture. Get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. That stuff. I mean,
performative, right? Is that the word?
It is performative. It's like a 24/7 Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But who the fuck am I to tell anybody how to live their ding dong life? If they want to post bullshit gym selfies and it makes them feel validated, amen.
Yeah. Sure.
God bless.
Yeah. Dude makes you happy.
You just ain't coming to my cookout.
Everybody has the right to be who they are, man.
Yeah, it's super, super important. And with that being said, let's go back in time a bit. I need a back in time sound effect. It's like a woo, 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 woo.
The Wayne's World.
Yeah. So, what were the two of you doing prior to any of this? Was there like a life of crime, a life of mystery, music, art, dance? I don't know. What were you doing before getting into fire eating and contact juggling and all the above?
Dead mothers. That's what it was. I think for both of us, a large reason that we turned to performing and, circus arts or because of our troubled past,
Sure.
I met him at the very first meeting of the Pittsburgh Circus Arts Collaborative when neither one of us was running it. We were just, performers, and we immediately gravitated towards each other. I think it was maybe like a month later. You said something about your mom being dead. I was like, oh, mine's dead too.
Oh, Dead Mom Club.
Yeah. But
my mom bought me my first set of juggling balls, because she saw that was the thing that I wanted to do. But also, it's a difficult past. I think was your question more about like what was our profession before? So
yeah, like did you have any other hobbies? But you can answer it however you would like.
I mean to get so morbid.
No, it's not.
No, you can answer it however you would like.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't ever have trouble with that.
I understand why your answer went the way that it did, because this is obviously so much more than just a hobby or something.
It's your
DNA.
Absolutely.
So of course your answer is gonna go there. Like, well, I collected stamps.
Yeah. I mean,
and then one day I caught one on fire and I put it in my mouth and I was like, oh, I could do this forever.
Yeah.
That's your story.
How did you know?
It wasn't an accident. It was.
Have I told you about my mind reading abilities?
You have not. Is there a sound effect for that?
Anyways, yes. Answer the question how you would like.
I mean, I agree. Like there's, like if you could see like on my arm, this is a large burn. There is this pain that happens with juggling fireballs, and there are these burns that occur all over, and something about like the intense searing pain of that sort of connects me back to my relationship with my mother, who was abusive and committed suicide, blamed me and my sister, right? So it was like you get a mom that does that, right? You can infer what life growing up with her might have been like.
Sure.
All right. So you come from that and you're just like, I don't know, man. My mom bought me my first set when I was a teenager. It was this thing that was just like, I always had my juggling balls on me and they were in my bag. And they were like the only time that I could juggle, and I would just get into this time warp psychedelic place where I didn't hear anything. I couldn't see anything. I was just in this vacuum where my mother wasn't, where my father wasn't, where this like shitty suburban wasteland that I lived in just wasn't there. And that feeling of sort of a transcendental communication I was having with the larger picture, I don't know, is something that came to me in juggling. And then like later in my life, I ended up juggling, contact juggling, which was something I had. My first love back in 1999, 2000 bought me a set of contact juggling balls, and I learned very mediocre things until I was like 30 something or other. And, and I was sitting with a group of my friends. We were all drinking psychedelic mushroom tea. Right. And, I picked
As
up,
you do.
and I,
very casual.
I picked up a contact juggling ball because I was sitting there and I always had them with me. And I picked it up and I felt this, like there was something, I don't know how to explain it. Anybody who tries to be like, yeah, dude, psychedelics, man. And it was like this and that, whatever. You get it. It's a realm of unreality that doesn't have a verbal equivalent, but something about the contact juggling and the psychedelics together had me feel a connection to my more higher self. Like it was something that if reincarnation were a thing, then I've always been a juggler and I will retain the skill like into my next incarnations. So like it's super deep in me. It's not just a hobby, right? It's like it's when I talk about that contact juggling ball and I'm like, that's a joint, and what you don't see are limbs that are being projected from me right now, and they're all connected to the ball. So that's what but I mean, I guess the answer could have been like, well, I was as an elementary school teacher. I went to college, I learned sign language, I worked with deaf kids, and then I worked in Circus, and then the pandemic happened, and now I feel more free during the pandemic than I ever had in my life. I don't think that I would like admit on the air of a podcast to taking psychedelics and having that be the thing that inspired,
Sure.
you know, the wonder that is the magic of juggling for me. That like without that moment, you know, where I was just thrown into the water, without that moment, like I wouldn't be able to deliver magic the way that I do. You know?
Absolutely. That is a great backup. Great background story.
So yeah, he was a teacher before he started juggling.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's it.
And a nanny. I worked with children. I was a sign language interpreter until pandemic hit, and then all the colleges shut down, and I couldn't be a sign language interpreter anymore because I interpreted for deaf college kids.
So you do a lot with your hands.
Yeah, that's the weird thing, right? Like
It all connects.
Yeah, like my sign language, right? So my day job is just like constantly interpreting for deaf people using words, right? So then my night job is this all the time with balls. Yeah, and it's so I don't know. I don't know what the deeper connection is, but there is something. I've always thought about it. Like, why do I need to move my arms? Like, what is the deeper purpose? Like, I found these two professions that take up my entire life. One is a language that requires constant movement, and one is a language that requires constant movement. Like, yeah, there's something there. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
Maybe I need another mushroom to figure it out.
Yeah. Joseph. Fire eating.
Fire eating. Yes.
That is, I mean, granted, you know, you pick up a contact ball while you're, you know, on another planet, and you're like, yeah, I'm connecting with this.
Yeah.
Deciding to do fire eating. Interesting.
Very.
I imagine that's not something that you just kind of stumble into. I've never talked with anybody that has done this before.
Yeah.
So forgive my ignorance. But since you're like a world record holder and stuff, I feel as though you could probably tell me a thing or two about this.
Thing or two or three.
So,
yeah.
Why did you start? Not how, why?
Why? Oh gosh. I feel like since Zero shared so much about himself that I should as well.
Dump it out.
Yeah. Because we're very I think that Zero and I are a lot alike. We're also very different. So whereas he, you know, embraces psychedelics and he's very...
I embraced. I don't have. There was the last couple times on psychedelics. It was very much like, okay, I think our relationship is on pause for an indefinite amount of time. Mm-hmm. We'll talk maybe in a few years. We haven't talked yet.
No, but he's had a lot of psychedelic experiences, so on and so forth. I've never been drunk. I've never done any drugs. So we approach things very differently. I don't know. Well, I didn't like anything about my life until I was 19, I guess. My mom got sick when I was very, very young. My home life was turbulent. I was really fat. You know, I got bullied. And I think that circus arts, you know, magic, fire eating was kind of a way for me to completely transform my life so that I could leave all that behind and not have to remember it, not have to experience it anymore. Running away to the circus. Essentially. Yeah.
But staying at home.
But staying at home. Yeah. Like, you know, myself now, if I showed you a picture of me from when I was 13, 14,
wow.
you wouldn't even know it was me.
Right.
It's the whole thing. The whole thing has been such a transformative experience.
So that's kind of interesting because in a way you already started getting into thinking more about like physical fitness and all of that, maybe even prior to where you are now.
Sure.
Like that was just part of your life before even getting into this.
Yeah. I lost a ton of weight very, very quickly.
How'd you do it?
Well, I hit puberty late. I started exercising and I stopped eating all at the same time.
Cool.
So if you want to lose weight, that is a way to do it. But I do not recommend it because I was left with a horrendous amount of extra skin.
Sure.
And I just had the fifth surgery to get rid of it.
Oh, wow.
I had it on this past June 30th. So that was, 5 surgeries in like 10 years to get rid of all the excess flesh. Yeah, physical fitness is important. What am I saying? I don't even know.
We were just talking about your background story. I remember that you mentioned earlier that you were first doing magic. You were
first doing magic,
and then you transitioned into the fire eating.
Yeah.
I guess I'm more curious just about that, like
the transition.
Yeah, like
yes.
So, and more specifically, just to narrow it down, the first time trying this, like, do you have like some sort of a fire guide that's or are you just like watching YouTube videos? Like, how do you?
No, so I did like kids parties and stuff, with magic. I did some old folks' homes. I was not very successful. I did not make a lot of money. Magic, I was a close-up magician, cards, hence all the tattoos. And that's very good. Like cards are very good for an intimate setting like this, but you can't entertain like 1,000 people with cards. Yeah. You know what I mean? You need an effect that is bigger. So I always thought that fire eating was cool and it's dangerous and girls like it, right? Because they didn't like magic. So,
really?
No, dude, they did not. They did not like magic. So
there's some tricks you can do. Illusions.
Illusions. So yeah, I was like, I was getting tired of like sitting in my room, practicing with cards for hours on end. I'm like, fuck this. So I wanted to try, fire eating. You were supposed to learn from a fire master. That was like, seriously, that's what I had to look it up online, because there were not very many resources back when I started. There are a lot now, but not back when I started. The whole field has gone through such a transformation in the 6 or 7 years that I've been doing it. But yeah, when I started, there were like no resources. So you're supposed to learn from a fire master. I didn't know any, obviously, and there are not really any around here. This is not an area that's known for its fire performers. So I did a lot of research, a lot of experimentation. And then one night, me and 2 friends went to this abandoned parking lot so that I could finally eat fire. One of them stood there with a camera, and then another one had a fire extinguisher. And
tight.
Yeah, right. So safe. Super safe. The torch was not even like a bona fide. It was a homemade torch out of a barbecue skewer.
Well, just 2 second quick. My first time I tried to juggle fire was in college. I cut a t-shirt up and I put them into 3 balls and I put safety pins to hold the balls together. And then I just like put lighter fluid on them.
Absolutely.
I could burn my hands in 2 seconds. I had to stop.
Yeah. Well, that would have worked. So yeah, it was just a barbecue skewer with 100% cotton fabric wrapped around it. The reason it has to be 100% cotton is because if there's any synthetics in the material, when it's on fire, it melts. And then it sticks to you. But if it's 100% cotton, it's porous. You can put fuel on it. It absorbs the fuel and it burns cleanly. The fuel burns without burning the material.
Understood.
Yeah. So it was just a cheap torch. And it took me like a half hour of, holding it up in the air, trying to put it in my mouth. But I finally did it. And then just went from there.
Okay. So it happened and it was reasonably successful. What did it feel like? Was it an adrenaline rush where you just freaked out?
Yeah, definite adrenaline rush. I didn't know what I was doing. You're supposed to, I teach lessons now. I shouldn't be saying this, but I didn't know what I was doing at the time. You're supposed to put your head, like looking straight up because heat rises. So if you're looking straight up, the heat rises away from you. My head was like pretty much like this. Mm-hmm. I kind of like, it's called a straight snuff. I kind of just put it directly in my mouth. I burned all my nose hairs and my eyebrows. They were gone, but it worked. And then, I slowly started to realize, oh, maybe I should put my head back. Yeah, that was it.
That's so funny. I'm curious because, now all these years later, you have become successful in your craft. World record holder, 3rd time bringing it up. I'm curious about, because you weren't properly trained, if that allowed you to like push things a little further and put yourself into a headspace to get where you are now, because you didn't have somebody holding you back, telling you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this. Since you're teaching yourself, you're experimenting a lot more outside of the boundaries of like, basically, because whenever you have a teacher, a lot of the time, you can only be as good as that teacher until you like start getting out on your own. But if you're teaching yourself from the jump, you can really expand.
Yeah, I definitely think that's true. A little bit after I started eating fire, I was looking for a fire master. I went to the Renaissance Festival, Pittsburgh Renaissance Festival. And there was this guy, I won't say his name. He'd been doing it for a long time. No, you don't know. I think I talked about him before, but you don't know.
Yeah.
He'd been doing it for a long time. And I went up to him after a show and I was like, hey, I just started eating fire. I was wondering if you could like give me some tips or whatever. And he's like, you taught yourself? I said, yeah. And he fucking chewed me out right there. Yeah. He's like, you shouldn't have done that. Like that was a dumb thing to do. I don't know anyone that teaches. I'm not going to teach you. I was like, holy shit. So yeah, I was pretty much on my own for the majority of my career.
That's an interesting response. I guess maybe it's kind of like if you fuck yourself up, that's going to give us a bad name, ruin my gig type of thing.
That's the thing. That is the thing in the fire world. Like there's forums
for
that
sure.
we're on, like on Facebook, like fire safety forums where like a video will pop up of like a kid just like eating fire and then like catching his clothes on fire and getting burnt. And like, we have to watch it and we have to have the discussion. Like, okay, everybody, what did he do wrong? What are the things that we could have avoided in this situation? Like it's big in the fire world, like the whole safety 100%. But also there is that mentality of like, hey man, if you want to try yourself, like, and then
if you want to burn yourself, you can do it. Like I'm not in a show, obviously, but if you're practicing, you want to burn yourself, that's your right.
I think that I don't think a master fire performer should be the person that says like, yeah, go right ahead and teach yourself. That's cool.
Right.
From my perspective, like I learned how to juggle fire on my own. Right. And like, had somebody been there and said something like, oh, well, if you hold that there, you should stop. You're going to get burned. Like that's okay. I don't mind being burned.
Sure. It might like freak you out from like getting to the next level.
Yeah. So like there are these points where like now I can hold a fireball like on my skin for like 20 seconds, just holding it in my hand. Like no problem. Wouldn't have figured out if I could do that without, the first time I lit it up, I just threw it across the street and I just couldn't touch it.
Oh, the orb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I can hold that thing in my hand and just like walk through crowds with like fire, like dripping. And I'm not going to tell, again, a special formula for the liquid I use and everything. But like the only thing I put on my skin is water to let it dampen down and cool it off a little bit. But like, yeah, I can hold a fireball on my skin for a long time.
So has that helped you in the world? Has that helped you in the kitchen at all?
I don't know, like getting burned spontaneously.
If he was in the food service industry, 100%.
Like getting burned spontaneously from like jumping oil or something, like that hurts.
Yeah.
I don't like it. But like, I can see that I've just put this fire on my skin. It's my choice.
Does breathing fire hurt? What is the feeling?
I just recently taught him to breathe fire.
Nice.
Yeah. Do you think it hurts?
No. It's warm.
It's warm.
You feel like whenever it goes out, you feel hot. But
sure.
Yeah.
It's not as dangerous.
It's
not.
I'm now just realizing
it's dangerous.
It's dangerous. I just had this thought. I am thinking about how fucking dumb it is that I was worried about the room being too hot today.
Yeah.
I opened up the windows because the
good.
AC's been goofy. Meanwhile, you spend all your time around fire and you're probably like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. I used to live in New Orleans in an apartment with no AC.
Oh.
So whatever.
So, okay. Breathing fire doesn't hurt.
Breathing fire. If you do it the wrong way.
Sure.
As with everything.
Like, can you breathe in too much?
Don't breathe in at all.
Okay.
So,
all right, there you go.
If you breathe in, first of all, you have oil in your mouth, breathing.
Should we say don't try this at home?
Well, that's a given.
Okay. And it's not actually breathing. It doesn't involve lungs.
Right. Yeah.
So is that like an awkward term to call it then?
That's
just what it is.
Just
right?
what it is.
You're
like fire breathing dragon.
Spitting.
Fire spitting.
Yeah, it doesn't sound as cool, huh?
Yeah.
You get an embouchure.
Yeah. So most people, if they use the correct fuel and they do like a short breath of fire, they won't get injured. When you get better at fire breathing, you can do what's called a fire breathing sustain. So normally when people breathe fire, they go, the length of the breath is that long.
Yeah, because that makes sense.
Right. When you sustain a fire breath, you go
like a dragon.
Yeah.
So you're a dragon.
Right.
How do you do that?
Lots and lots of practice.
Cool.
But when you sustain the breath for longer periods of time, you can get what's called proximity burns. So while the fire itself doesn't burn you, like the fire doesn't touch your skin is next to the fire for such a long period of time that the proximity to the flame, hence the term proximity burn. Your skin heats up from that proximity, and then you get burned.
And I imagine there's probably, I mean, I guess regardless of how much you can control the flames, it's still a pretty unpredictable thing. Like
Wind.
how much
wind?
That was gonna be
the wind.
That was gonna be my next question. Actually, I was gonna ask about like how much does environment, like how much of an important role does that play into like where you're doing stuff?
It determines whether or not we can do a gig.
Yeah, if it's like if there is sometimes it like depend if there is a
if it's dark, you can't see the balls.
Right. So that's the weird thing. You think in the dark I'm looking at fire, right? But it's a fireball inside of a Kevlar cage. So it's moving around like this. So when I'm looking at it, and I don't know if it's my color blindness, if there's some depth perception issue at night, but like I have trouble seeing them. With wind, yeah, if there is the gentlest breeze, something like if I have the fireball on me and the wind blows a certain way that I'm not prepared for, like the fire immediately goes up my arm. And like trying to eat fire with the wind, like when you need it to be straight up without issue and it starts to blow this way and you got to find a way. Yeah,
especially with that mustache.
Yeah, I don't even. We just recently made a little Halloween flick of him torturing me with fire breathing tricks, and then like grabbing me by the neck and forcing my mouth. And I got my mustache nice and wet. I played Commissioner Gordon. He was Joker.
The commish, yeah,
it's good.
That's awesome.
But no, I got to get this thing nice and wet before I put fire near it.
Understood.
Yeah.
So how many days a week is fire in your mouth? That's a weird question, but I'm going to go with it.
I tell you what, man, recently, 0. No pun intended.
In your mouth.
I had this contract down at Universal Studios. I was going to go down I was going to go down there and perform for 2 months.
Wow.
It was for quite a bit of money.
With the Academy of Villains,
it's called
playing
the Academy
a fire-breathing Joker at Orlando Studios.
Yeah.
Fuck COVID.
Damn.
Fuck COVID.
It obviously it was canceled because of COVID. So I lost quite a bit of money.
Or should I say fuck Republicans? Because we could have been out of this mess in April, man. Rein it in, Jason. All right.
Who's Jason?
I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah. But, it got canceled. And since then, I'm just like, fuck it. Like I've been actually practicing juggling. He's been teaching me how to juggle a little bit. I practice some staff things, but in terms of fire, I've been doing it for so long. I don't mean to seem like narcissistic or whatever, but I'm at such a high level that I don't really feel the need to practice anymore. I can do the tricks, I don't seem to get rusty, like I don't lose skills if I don't practice them.
Well then how about like when you were really getting into this, what do you think is like, was there ever a time when it was like 7 days a week?
Every day.
Just
they're in my car. I got my stuff in my car. Like there's a set in my car, there's a set of the house, there's a set in my bag, and that was the beginning.
He does it all the time.
Yeah. No, but that's like, but no, I'm sorry for jumping in there. I mean, like in the beginning, it was just like on the bus, at the bus stop. Sorry. Good.
Yeah.
In terms of like the supplies that you need, do you like have to buy a lot? Is there a lot of money that goes into what you do?
So much. That's why we added into the contract.
We do.
Yeah, no, I mean, we use a lot of fuel. Torches take up a lot of fuel. His fireballs take up a lot of fuel.
Everything's pretty much like expendable, right? I think you can only like one-time use for a lot of this stuff. Not even, or
no, one time for the equipment.
All
years.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like I the fireballs I use right now, I probably got constant use. I probably got another 6 months to a year.
I guess I'm a dumbass, and I guess that makes sense because it probably wouldn't be safe if it was something that couldn't handle it.
Yeah. But also a lot of the stuff's made out of Kevlar.
And you also said that. Yes.
Kevlar, the material, like the burning temperature of it's in the thousands.
I'll tell you what. There's a dog that lives in the house over there. It's named Kevlar.
Nice.
Its name's Kevlar.
Tough
it's a tough motherfucker.
Yeah.
Seriously. So equipment lasts a while, but like
the fuel is expensive.
Yeah, because you're burning through it.
Literally. Fire safety people. We have to have fire safety. Just like if someone, say for example, we have a woman that does fire hula hoop, just a hula hoop with wicks on it. We don't let her perform by herself with fire. Someone has to watch her in case she catches something, which she doesn't because she's very good, but just in case.
Over time, have you been able to like establish a relationship with any fire safety people or like?
Oh yeah.
Whoa!
Fuck.
Sorry.
What is this?
That was so. There's a light that reflects onto Susie Sue.
Susie Sue.
But yeah, you know, it's really funny. I was like super stressed about it, and it's not even in the goddamn shot. Now that I'm looking
Is it
at
not?
it.
That's
No,
totally cool.
it's not. That's what happens when I put that up before I even put the camera where it was going to be. Anyways,
That's all right.
that's okay.
No.
Sorry that you almost got taken out.
That piece of paper is lethal. The majority of the fire safety people that we use are already members in the circus,
Yeah,
Oh,
so, like
okay.
I will
Cool.
I will do fire safety for him.
and vice
You know.
versa.
Okay.
But like
So is that something like you have to get like, is it like an actual certification for that, or just like
No.
I'm like you're like the designated driver of the event?
yeah, I mean, yes, because we've been with each other for so long. I know where I need to stand. I know what I need to hold. You know, I have certifications. I have my CERT certification, community emergency response training. So like I've got a bug out bag and everything in it with like tools to like turn on water, turn off gas. I've got toe tags in this bag. So like I've been through all of the trainings to like how to put out all types of fires. And that's cool. It's totally unnecessary, but it definitely helps when the fire marshal is like, you guys know what to do. And we're like, yeah, this, and this. And it's like, you know, you sit off the side holding a blanket so everybody's happy.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, you know, fire safety, I got my extinguisher. I know what to do, and I'm holding a blanket and I'm looking at the guy. That's it. That's
That's it.
fire safety.
That's
What you could do. Because like he's not gonna burn anybody anything. I'm not gonna burn anybody anything.
Do you want to tell them the story about the fire extinguisher?
The fucking time where you just like you extinguished me like in the middle of my performance. Yeah, that was the time. And then that was
So what happened?
No, he just thought it'd be funny. He's gonna
Oh, okay.
extinguish me in the middle of a gig, and like I've got the ways to come and get back. And I got some ideas.
We were doing a gig, and he was doing contact with his fire orb, and it was I thought at the end of his routine, right? I didn't know that he had
The
more
middle.
things planned. It was the middle.
He jumps behind me. He's like, Zero,
I
you're
was
on
like,
fire.
Zero,
I'm like,
you're on
"What?"
fire. Because I thought it would be great. Because like that, it's such an iconic shot in cartoons of like someone getting sprayed with a fire extinguisher.
Sure.
You know? So I was like, oh, Zero, you're on fire. And I sprayed him. I'd never sprayed someone with a fire extinguisher before. What happened?
Covered in me, went up in my clothes and my mouth and my eyes, everything. I was in the middle of my act. I'm like, fuck. And like I ran into the bathroom of the place that we were using as a green room. And like I just tracked this trail of white powder to the bathroom and just like can't get it off of me. It was
I felt so bad.
Yeah.
It went in his phone. Like I thought he was. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. You know.
But it was like
Sure.
it was a, you know, we're always professional, but like, you know, our friends hired us for this gig, you know, so like us goofing off was totally in the cards. But like, you know, we do events like what was the, you know, at the Westin or something for like a big convention. We're on stages off to the side. You know, we only stand there like being professional. But yeah, one of these days. It's coming.
Yeah. The next time there's a more private, friendly affair, you better watch yourself.
Oh my god, I'm on pins and needles all the time.
So I know that, like, you know, this is the point in the conversation when I normally like to be like, so, you know, what's coming up? Is there anything that we could talk about that's coming up?
Cul-de-sac, sir?
I mean, yeah, we got a few things.
Cool.
Mhm.
You know, because here's the new world, you know, and it's like, my favorite analogy to it, right, is like, you know, basketball, right? Like you got to dribble the ball, right?
Yeah.
Which sucks because gives the other team the opportunity to steal the ball off of you. So this arbitrary restriction in this game, right, created the cross-legged dribble, revolutionized the game. Couldn't have had cross-legged dribble without the restriction of you have to dribble, boom, through the legs, and the stuff that they do with that, incredible. Pandemic is an arbitrary restriction, like having to juggle or having to dribble, not having to juggle. You know, you have to dribble the whole time. This is the thing you got to do. It's like, okay, well, then that means I can make this thing to revolutionize the game. And here we are trying to create these safety circuses, right? And try to be safe with it. You know, we've got this, I've got a production of the Nutcracker coming up again, I'm working with the Westmoreland County Ballet Theater. And they do a Nutcracker production every single year, but can't now. You can't have a crowd, can't do anything, but you can hire a film crew and the directors and write a script and choreograph everything and film Nutcracker on cultural and historical locations around Westmoreland County and Greensburg, like at Fort Ligoniers, where the toy soldiers are going to be filmed. The big party scene is going to be a masquerade ball, like everybody's going to be in masks. So new costumes are coming out of the restriction that is the pandemic, right? I'm at the zoo this coming Sunday night. The zoo is now a drive-through. So, which is kind of weird. And I don't like interacting with people in cars, but it's something it's getting there. And we've come up with this idea of a cul-de-sac circus. And I have made, you got a compass that you can draw circles with, right? I have one that's like 15 feet tall. So I could draw 20 feet circles and measure them out and make sure people are concentrically away from each other. Each family in their own driveways, or whoever wants to get people in those driveways. And then in the center of the cul-de-sac, having an aerial rig and having the fire breather off to the right and having all of these, dimensions drawn on the sidewalk so we all know where to go. And it's not like, another part of your act is like people, it's like, oh, I have to get gasoline in my balls. I have to get my arms wet and all these things. I have to set these things up. Like, no. That's part of the act. Like getting the fire stick ready and getting yourself ready. Like come out there with just the box. Haven't done anything. Let me put the box down. How's everybody doing tonight? Opening it up, pulling it. You're just now getting ready. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, that's part of it. Mm-hmm. So making a thing of like being a safe, socially distanced circus, making sure that health is first and foremost, and that we're doing this, because people still need to have that magic, they need to see it. They need that connection. So we're doing as much as we can to be a safety first kind of circus performance. And it's working. There's not a lot of gigs. There's not a lot of shows, but the ones that are coming up provides us with the opportunity to create a cross-legged dribble, create new costumes, new ways of performing with these masks. Like, excuse me, how do you do acrobatics at a distance with two people, right? These are questions we have to ask owing to the courtesy of COVID-19. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you spit fire all over the place when you have to have a mask on, right? Like, yeah. So we're not giving up. We never did. There's a part where like, oh, well, it sucks. I guess the circus is gone. And then I was like, wait a second. That's the dumb way of thinking. That's shit brain thinking. So let's see what we can do now. And we can make a cul-de-sac circus. We could make measuring and distancing people part of our shtick. We could do online performances, which has been fun because like
done a lot of online performances.
Those have been fun. We have old clients that we keep in touch with and they're like, hey, it's my kid's 16th birthday and we're in the middle of the pandemic. And we're like, tune in on our Facebook page live at 7:00. And then like, I'll go live from where I am and then Joker will go live where he is. And it's like, we'll have like a happy birthday, show for them. So yeah, these are some of the smaller things that are coming up. I think that like, like this documentary that WQED made, whenever, Aiden McGarvey, like he contacted us like a couple weeks ago. He's like, yo, that documentary I made, he's like, it's up for an Emmy. I said, what do you mean? He says, yeah, it's up for an Emmy. You go to the Emmy Awards site and go to scroll down. There we are. It's
going to win just based on subject matter alone. Everything else is so boring.
Yeah, this is such an epic documentary. The music is so powerful and everybody's in it. It's got all the key players. It shows so much of the wonderful stuff that we do. So, the 20th of September, we find that out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I got the zoo Sunday night, another drive-through. Working on cul-de-sac circus ideas. We've got this other Nutcracker production that's coming up. So we're not, we're thinking inside the box. You think outside the box is too much. But, here's the box and it's COVID-19. How do we use it?
That's a really interesting way to put it, thinking inside the box.
Everybody says, people say, oh, think outside the box. I'm like, are you kidding me? You ever go to the supermarket and there's 37 different kinds of milk? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Right? Think outside the box. That's too much. That's too much. You can't have everything be your inspiration.
Think inside the mask.
Yeah, you got to think inside the mask right there, right? You know, you got to practice safe circus, all these little things that are coming up. You got to, you know, you have to think inside the box. It's the only way you can creatively be. You know, people say, I'm thinking outside the box. I'm like, no, you're not. You can't it's too much. Get overwhelmed. I'm creatively agoraphobic, man. I need restrictions to break out of. And if I don't have a box to think in, I can't think outside of it. So I like COVID-19 because it's like, well, what are you going to fucking do? Like, you got an arm tied behind your back. Now you got to wear a mask. How can you blow out your fireball with a mask on? Mm-hmm. I can't. Well, you're going to get burned then. Okay, well, let's figure this out over time. So I don't know. I like problems.
Yeah, that reminds me of a thought that I had. I was talking with one of my music friends recently, and we're talking about the whole, you know, DIY culture and the DIY community. And I'm like, now's the first time in a long time that a lot of these DIY people can really put their money where their mouth is. And it's like, now what can you do now yourself? Because nobody's helping you right now.
Yeah.
It ain't going to happen. So what can we come up with? I don't know.
And, you know, and like, not just us, like Iron City Circus Arts, you know, the school on the South Side, like they've got this elaborate pulley system for all of their rigs. So it attaches to, you know, silks, lyra, trapeze, the cube, all these different things. So they were able to figure out like what's the distance between these two, put this mat there, and they met all the CDC guidelines of like who can be where and how far away from each other. And they've got somebody sanitizing every single thing after every single class. You get your temperature checked at the door. So like the school is still going good. And like, it's, I mean, we're learning, they're learning, everybody's learning. But I think a lot of people are giving up, you know, and it's just like, no. Come on. You gotta, don't give up.
Sure. I imagine that, you know, it's probably, I mean, there's some people that, you know, it's hard enough maybe for them to feel like taking that trip to the grocery store, let alone going to a circus show.
Oh,
you know? So I totally understand.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, what can we do to make people start to feel comfortable? When's the right time to have that discussion publicly and like without sounding like you're like some haphazard fucking like daredevil?
Of course, right.
It's like, how do you have that communication with people that are genuinely like super duper concerned, regardless of what your feelings may be about it? It's like, you know, their feelings are their feelings.
Their feelings are their feelings.
So
you know, if somebody wants to be concerned about COVID-19, by all means, like hit me up. I'll bring, you know, whatever you need over your house.
Yeah.
You know, I had it. I caught COVID back in early March, which I feel super fortunate to, like, you know, sorry, you guys, I feel fortunate to have gotten it early, right? Because everybody's going to get this thing, especially in America. Fucking Republicans. That's okay. We'll stop there. But yeah, so we're in this place where, I don't know, what's my point? See, Republicans get me mad and I start going on them. But no, there is a very real fear. And like in that time, and I don't want this to discourage anybody at all, but like, you know, I washed my hands, I wore a mask, followed all the guidelines. I was watching this thing back in January. You know, whenever I was like, oh, look, they are concerned and they're doing their best to stop the spread of information as quick as they can. This virus is going to go everywhere. And it got to America and it's like, well, our ego is worse than any other country. So, you know, the president came out and was like, well, let's stop the spread of information quick as we can. And then here it is, right? And I was terrified. I washed my hands. I wore a mask, socially distanced, everything. And I caught it. You know, so there it is. It's a scary thing. Then people who, like my father and his wife, who are very much like, you know, we are staying in, we're not, they haven't caught it, right? So, and then I got it, my wife got it. I was dead for a month. Mm-hmm. It was horrible. Like the worst thing I ever had. My wife lost her sense of taste and smell. Felt like she had a head cold for a few days. Right. So there's a lot to be afraid of, and there isn't. And there's reasons to be afraid, and there's not. So if anybody's like, yeah, I'm fucking terrified, it's like, yeah, let me just help. I'll get you what you need. I went through it. I had a village helping me. People brought me Pedialyte. People brought me groceries, everything. Like if anybody, like I'm all for just like stay at home. Don't come out. Just do what makes you feel most safe in this situation. And yeah, I don't think that those people are giving up. You know, I think a sort of a projection on my part. There was a part where I sort of felt like I was just flipping the table of the circus saying like, well, it's all fucking over.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
It was really sad, man. I got depressed really, really bad.
Yeah, it's hard. Like right now, I know there are some people that are able to start getting some gigs in the music community again but it's all the safe music. You know, my heavy metal band is not getting a gig anytime soon. There's just nowhere for us to play. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, there are places for us to play, but we don't want to. Because there's definitely some people that just don't give a shit. Yeah. And it's like, well, yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, there's these venues, these places, especially when you walk around. Like I live in Lawrenceville. Nobody's wearing a mask. I mean, it's like I can't, go to these restaurants or go to these venues and you just look in. It's like, why aren't you fucking wearing masks? Why the fuck aren't you guys like? How is like it's September. This is 10 months into this thing. Like if we start with like when what happened with China in December, right? Like we're 10 months into this thing, and America's just like, well, we don't know how to deal. We don't know what to do.
Yeah, it just comes down to respect. Respect the other people. Respect the people around you. No one wants to wear a mask. Wear the fucking mask.
Yeah, but it's America, man. Disrespect is American as racist apple pie.
But that being said, yes, our audience, if people are uncomfortable, we're doing what we can to make them as comfortable as possible. Not trying to force anyone to do anything or whatever. We're just trying to respect everyone and entertain them as best we can.
Absolutely. So, as we're rounding the station here, we're about to get off this podcast train. Choo-choo, motherfuckers. Where can people find your stuff online if they're interested about future events or just watching some stuff? This documentary, the Pittsburgh Circus documentary, is on YouTube, WQED. You can watch that. It looks really cool.
Just search Pittsburgh Circus on YouTube. It's like the first result.
Yeah.
It better be.
Pittsburgh Circus on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
PGH Circus on Instagram. Yeah.
Juggling 0 for me. The Joseph Kerr. The real.
The Joseph Kerr.
Mm-hmm. And Juggling 0.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm going to do an outro, and then that'll be it. We'll put a cap on this thing.
Thank you for having us.
And that's the wrong button. And that is all, folks. Thanks so much for being here. One more time. 0, Joker, Pittsburgh Circus, blah, 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 blah. I appreciate you being here. I'll be back again next week with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the beat. 2020. Woo woo! Thanks for listening. That's it. We're done.
Go, man.
Fade it out.
Oh, nice.